Welcome. Today is Monday, May 16th. This is the CHGO Sky Podcast, coming to you live from the West Loop studio. Here with me, as always, is my co-host, Subria, Whitaker. You probably want to know who I am, too. I'm Janice, Scurio. So if you missed our last episode, it was a really great one. Chris Pennant of the Skyhook Pod was kind enough to join us, share his thoughts on the Sky and the upcoming season. So shout out to Chris. Also, shout out to his podcast partner, James. We would hope to get him on the show as well. Just catching up with the both of us. So I have covered the first two home games for the Sky. I had a really great time at both games. Not so much the first game, but I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit. But anyway, I want to catch up with Subria. Subria, what have you been up to? I know that you had an interesting road trip. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we went to the game on Friday, like you, and then the Sparks had a game in Indiana on Sunday. So Saturday, we drove to Indiana, stayed for the game on Sunday, and then Monday morning, we drove all the way to Atlanta because they also had Atlanta's home opener. And then that's where my trip ended. So I did not go to Connecticut with them, and I will not be in LA for their home opener tomorrow, but kind of like a first leg of the tour that so many people have referred to it as lately. Yeah,
so the Dream they're an interesting team right now. Yeah. And Ryan Howard was just named Eastern Conference Player of the Week as well. How did she look?
She looked amazing, honestly. Obviously, because I was there rooting for LA, I wasn't rooting for her at the moment, and it was actually very annoying when she gets too much space. She is definitely a threat on the perimeter. Just so many threes at the worst times for the Sparks, but loving just what she's been able to do, a 33-point performance, the most of any of the WNBA players so far this season. So just super happy for her. I love the turnaround in Atlanta. I think I talked about it earlier. Like, I love where Atlanta is going. So she's proven me right so far.
Absolutely. And I know this has been whispers on Twitter that she might be the first player since Candace Parker to win Rookie of the Year and MVP.
Yes. Honestly, it's looking like it. And that's not surprising since everybody thought that Atlanta was like entering a rebuilding type period, but you can't really tell. So I don't know. I think she might really be a contender in the MVP race this year.
Yeah, goodness. Yeah. Shooting almost 44% from the 3-point range. That is going to get your points per game up, and that is also going to win some ball games too.
Yeah. And she's a two-way player. So it's not even just that she's just using all her energy for points like a Diana Taurasi, but she's also getting back, blocking shots, and then converting those on the other end. So super impressive.
Yeah, she's going to be a fun one to watch these upcoming games. So I had a lot of fun covering the first two home games for the Sky. So the first game, like I mentioned before, not so much enjoyable, although
for you and the rest of Skytown.
But I'm sure, Brittany definitely gave us some trouble. And I know during the post-game party, I almost wanted to jokingly just be like, Brittany, why did you hurt us so much? But I didn't. I did not make that joke.
Yeah. I've been so when I was there, obviously, whenever Brittany does something, like, it's my job to motivate her because I just want her to feel like she's not playing in a home game. And I remember, like, the first thing she did, I don't even know what it was. I don't know if it was a bucket or a steal or a block, but I just remember yelling so loud. And obviously, because there weren't that many Sparks fans, because obviously Candace is there. So that is an easy conversion. Like, you don't have to be a Sparks fan. Like, you can just be the Sky fan that you are. And I just remember yelling and feeling like I was truly the only person in the arena that cheered for her and that everybody could hear me. So I tweeted, like, I just cheered so loud for Slim that I felt like I was the only person that could be heard. And then people were saying, no, we heard you on the broadcast. And so now I did go back and look last night. We were looking at all the games on League Pass, and you really can hear me like 3 times from when she makes a bucket, when she makes a block. You could just hear me yell, just me. So yeah, I think that kind of tells you my energy when it comes to WNBA games.
Yeah, I think you did your job well.
Yes.
Yeah, you did very well. Brittany Sykes definitely capitalized very well on the Skies. Very poor passing game and just high amounts of turnovers too. But let's divert a little bit back to Wednesday's game. So on Wednesday's game, Candace Parker was in the post-game presser, and she brought a special guest to the post-game presser, and I was absolutely just floored to meet Air Larry Petrikov Parker, just the most adorable co-host to Candace Parker's post-game presser. I also thought that his analysis on Dana Evans was really great. One of the reporters asked Candace her thoughts on Dana, and then Larry just kind of gave this like coup, and Candace was like, yes, Larry. Everyone has some very high opinions on Dana. So Candace does, Larry does too. So it was really great to hear his analysis and his thoughts on the wonderful Dana Evans. But otherwise, so some news in Skyland. So Allie Quigley made her 2022 debut. Sparkle Taylor was waived in a corresponding move. And of course, James Wade also expects Lee Yuri to arrive in Chicago by the end of this week. So I did speak to James Wade on Wednesday night. He says that he's talked to Lee several times over the phone, that she has a passport, she has a visa, she's gotten approval from the Chinese Basketball Association to play in the WNBA. It was just some other things that needed to go through. But otherwise, everything looks all good for Lee to come on over. So coming up, also too, Kalia Copper and Julie Allemond are wrapping up their overseas commitments too. So we should be expecting them on the court by the end of this, or I think within the next couple of days, was the estimate. But this team looks pretty complete at this point. So watching the first three games, just some general reactions. It seems as if, I know earlier before the season started, we were a little worried about depth. We were a little bit worried in the preseason where it's just like, maybe these bench players necessarily are not being as productive as we would like. Yeah. But now that we've got a pretty full cohesive team, like things are looking pretty well. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my first thoughts have been like, wow, these rookies are good. Or even just those who were on their training camp or hardships. And I was like, wow, they're doing really well. I think that Skytown is going to have a hard time parting ways. I mean, obviously, like anytime a tweet goes out about somebody, Skytown is so sad. Kayla Davis being one of them. And then she's now with Seattle. So we were like, yay. But I'm sure, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm sure like it's temporary, but this kind of like back and forth and tugging and temporary and yay, you're here and boo, you're gone. It's a lot.
Yeah, definitely a lot to go through. And I also want to mention that it was actually Kayla Davis who brought Larry into the press conference. A lot of us were just like, oh.
I love watching babies. I mean, obviously we won't get a chance because, as I don't know if you all talked about it last week, with this most likely being Candace Parker's last year in the league. So we won't get to see him grow up like we did with Layla.
With Layla. Oh my gosh.
And so now I'm getting sad thinking about it, but hopefully she'll still be on someone's network or TV, I'm sure. Like that deal has probably already been drawn up, so I'm sure we'll see him. But I like the pressers. It's cute. Like Steph Curry and like watching their kids, and now people are seeing them in the stands and we're like, wow, we're old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Riley Curry looks like a grown up, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm ancient now.
Yes.
I'm about to turn into dust. Oh my goodness. But otherwise, the Sky now have 3 games under their belt. They are 2-1 on the season, and I know it's only been 3 games. So just right off the bat, what overreactions or hot takes do you have so far?
That's a hard question.
I know.
I mean, obviously, I'm thinking that there's going to be a repeat. So
yeah,
that's like the only thing I could kind of think of off the top of my head. What about you?
I think my big overreaction is I am just overly positive, I think. I think just seeing Emma Meesseman's immediate impact.
Yes, amazing.
She's been really good. I am just loving Dana Evans too. Just her first couple of games and that career game she had in the home opener. I just thought just absolutely blew me away. And I did notice that in the post-game presser, she mentioned someone asked her like, "Oh, so what about your game have you improved?" And she said, "I don't worry about the offense. I just worry about the defense. Just as long as I take care of the defense, the offense will follow." And she definitely wants to play more like herself. I know James Wade has been encouraging her just to be her on the floor and to kind of exercise her personality and just kind of be comfortable in her own skin. And that's the recurring theme I've noticed with Coach Wade, is that he definitely wants his players to be comfortable. He wants his players to be themselves. And as a result, the results certainly just transfer out on the court. But anyway, I'm just a huge homer when it comes to the Sky lately. I am just all just super positivity. We're gonna run it back. Sky in 4. It's gonna happen again. But yeah, I mean that's my overreaction. I know a lot of the times overreactions are generally negative, but mine are always positive, or at least when it comes to the Sky.
Yeah, I mean, at least this season, there's really, and I don't want to say it because I don't want to jinx anything, but things are looking good, especially because, like you said, we're 2-1 and Ka's not even back yet. And I mean, she just, there's a tweet going around with all she's accomplished in the last 8 months. So to be a champion and then going overseas and becoming another champion and getting another MVP, I think we're gonna see even Ka 3.0 at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we'll talk briefly about that first game. I think the Sky definitely just missed that pick and roll offense from Ka. Noticeably, the chemistry was a little off in that first game. The players seemed as if they were, there was definitely a lot of passing, in my opinion, that was just really not really going anywhere. Just from my observation. I mean, there were a couple of plays on the floor where, shots could have been capitalized on, but there was a lot of selflessness too, where the ball was being passed around, but really nothing productive was really coming about it. So that's kind of what I was saying. And in the post-game presser too, that was brought up, and I think it was Coach Wade that brought up, they've only had a couple of practices under their belt. Their legs weren't fresh. They ran out of gas in the fourth quarter. But then he took full responsibility. He's like, you know what? That's on me. I should have switched my veterans out and let them rest when I had the chance. I'm going to do a better job of that in the future. Candace also pointed that out too in the post-game presser on Wednesday, where she said, now that we have had a couple of practices together, we're passing the ball around a little bit better. We can read each other on plays more. So it has definitely gotten a lot better. But anyway, the huge difference between the game against the Sparks and the last two, definitely fewer turnovers, less fouls, and also too just less baskets going through free throws, which is something that Courtney Vandersloot pointed out. The game has definitely been cleaned up quite a bit. But anyway, let's talk about a couple of the really great performances we've seen. In Saturday's game, Courtney Vandersloot had a double-double. She finished with 16 points and 11 assists. So something cool about Sloot is that she is the WNBA's #1 assist leader. She's got a career average of 7 assists per game. That is just absolutely ridiculous. But that win versus the Lynx was pretty cool. I don't know.
It was close though.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
I did. Yeah, that fourth quarter was a little tense, especially because the Lynx, I don't think they've won a game yet.
I get to go on a rant later if we have time, but that makes me so sad. I mean, obviously we could talk about it because this is a CHGO Sky Show. Unfortunately, that leaves room for me to talk about Sylvia Fowles because she was our franchise player, and I will never. I mean, I understand like her and Candace wanting to leave, and even at some point, Deladon wanting to leave. So I can't blame our front office for losing them, but like I'm kind of sad for losing them, and I just wish she. Obviously, this is her last season. She's announced her retirement. Yes. I don't think she deserves this, but also I don't know what is going on in Minnesota. But if you go to the transactions page,
it's nuts. It's like absolutely bonkers.
I'm like, are you all trying to set a new record for the most transactions? Because how do you just come in here and just start waiving everybody? Like the people who were making your team better last year when I actually thought they were a threat. And then just waiving everybody and then signing new people as a result of those waves and then waiving them. And now they're just all over the place with so many new faces. And I just don't know what they're doing out there. So I feel bad, but I don't think that that's ranked like the fact that they haven't won a game should be a surprise.
Yeah, I think now that you mentioned those transactions and just even that first week, I was just like a couple of really big names were waived. Yes. So I think Crystal Dangerfield, yes. I believe she went to the Fever. The Fever picked her up. Am I right?
Yes, but I don't think she's there anymore.
Oh my God. I know the Fever they have also done some very questionable things with their waves.
I mean, I already went on my rant about, the performative gesture, that they did earlier this season. But I mean, I did go to the Indiana game, obviously against the Sparks, and I'll be going back on May 27th. They have a lot going on. And I don't know if people know this. I mean, obviously earlier or before the season started, Tamika Catchings, the face of the front, like I don't know who anyone else would think of when you talk about the Indiana Fever, is no longer in their front office. And then they basically really are in a rebuilding period. Tierra McCowan was great for them and so important last year, and now she's in Dallas, so not there anymore. And then you have all these rookies. But Queen is doing her thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm loving her and Nalissa. And I don't know, did you watch the game against Atlanta?
I did not.
So if people, that's obviously not a Sky game, so obviously prioritize Sky games. But the reason why the Indiana and Atlanta matchup are so good is because you have the first pick and the second pick. And just seeing, because, there were some talks about, Ryan doesn't have a motor, but I mean, she was essentially carrying Kentucky. And now we see she gets space. She's letting off the threes. And then Queen is just blocking people so disrespectfully. And Nalissa was doing great up until I think she got injured at the end of that last game. So I'm not sure if she'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. But I just wish Indiana had fans. Unfortunately, they don't. Like we were there, and I was kind of like going back and forth with one of the security guards there, because obviously I was cheering for LA, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna escort you out because you are cheering too loud. Like if you go, like you can't hear me this time because I'm not as close to the mic that apparently is on the side of the rim. But if you go back and look at the game videos, I'm there in almost every last one of them. And if Brittany does something, you can see me in my orange and blue outfit just standing up every single time. And I'm like, well, sir, it's not my fault. Like, you all need more fans in the building. It's not my fault if they can literally hear me because I'm cheering louder than everybody else. And apparently they're doing something new with their tickets because the NBA does not care about them. The Pacers do not care about them. Last year, they got kicked out of their arena, a beautiful arena, and they had to go play on a farm. So when I went last year, it was definitely giving farm. Like, there was no, like, oh, you know how, like, your high school parties, oh, I don't even realize that it's in a gym. No, this was a farm, giving farm, looked like it was in a farm.
They didn't even try to hide that it was on a farm.
I mean, there was really nothing you could even really do to hide the farm. And apparently, after the first 5 home games, they're back in the arena, but then they're going back to the farm. And then after so many games there, they're going to a college arena. So like they're not even selling season tickets because I guess they don't know how that works because there are there are 3 different venues that they're using.
Yeah, that is confusing to me. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I guess like the big suggestion I would have is perhaps, the Fever should get someone that can possibly cheer louder than you. Although I don't know if that is possible, to be honest.
I don't know if people have the time. It's like a 3-hour drive, but at this point I'm just like out of pure like neighbor Midwest attitude. I'm just gonna have to ask some of Skytown to
volunteer their time.
Go volunteer and go cheer for Indiana because they need it. Like, it's such a better game than last. What did they win? Like 2 games last season?
Oh yeah.
I think they've already won 2, at least 2. So Indiana fans should be happy and should be going out. So I'm actually looking forward to when we get to play them because, like I said, their rookies are really fun.
They are. They absolutely are fun. So any Sky fans who want to volunteer to also cheer for the Fever, sign up sheet is in the lunchroom right next to the water cooler. So definitely sign up, please. All right. So going back a little bit to talking about some of the great things the Sky have been doing. So Rebekah Gardner, she's building a case for Rookie of the Year. I know we were just talking about Ryan at 31 years old during the postgame presser. A reporter jokingly asked Rebekah if she was trying to be the oldest Rookie of the Year. But yeah, during her WNBA debut on Wednesday, she finished with 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals on 6 for 9 shooting. And on Saturday, she scored 10 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal. So in case you didn't know, Rebekah was basically spending the past 10 years playing in Spain, has not touched the WNBA since then. She's been on James Wade's radar for quite a bit. He's watched her play, just likes her game, thinks she has a strong motor. So so he brought her aboard. And so far, it looks like she plays really well with the rest of the team. She fits in. She definitely fits into the culture. Just seeing her too in the post-game presser on Wednesday, she just kind of had this like incredibly just sweet smile on her face. She just seemed like she was so excited to be there. She just had this really great friendly energy. So really great on Rebekah for her past couple of games. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on Rebekah and how she's been playing?
Yeah. I actually really love this for her. And even the games where I wasn't able to watch, because I was on that little tour, I would just see a lot of love for her on the timeline. And I did see a lot of those tweets saying she is going to be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. And I would love to see that happen. But it's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Yeah, we talked about Ryan Howard earlier and how she's pretty much in the lead in that conversation. Yeah. But Rebekah deserves a little bit of entryway into the conversation as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
and just even her story. Like, this is one of those examples where I would love her story to be told because, obviously no player story is the same, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of Erica Wheeler and just her journey into the WNBA. And then she has this, I guess, breakout season where she's an all-star, gets all-star MVP. Then next thing I know, she has an Adidas deal and just everything is up for Erica. And so I'm hoping that that's what's happening here, since we're going to see, we're going to have a very different 144 next year with all of these people leaving. Yeah. So happy, that new players are getting the chance, and I'm excited to see what they all do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's talk a little bit about Saturday's game against the Lynx. I know we talked a little bit about that, but some really great things to be aware of. 5 Sky players scored in double figures, and that is Candace Parker, Azurá Stevens, Courtney Vandersloot, Rebekah Gardner, whom we just threw a bunch of praise on, and Emma Meesseman. So the Sky also finished with 23 assists to 5 turnovers, a great turnaround compared to that first game where the Sky had 25 turnovers. 7 in the fourth quarter.
So that might not be their fault, because last year Brittany Sykes did lead the league in steals. So we can kind of just attribute that to her and act like they didn't have that many turnovers.
I'm going to blame Brittany and also blame you as well, Subria.
That's fine.
Yeah. So something else cool that happened, Emma Meesseman recorded her 500th career assist on a Ruthie Hebard layup with 2:15 left in the third quarter. So Emma Meesseman also recorded 7 steals in that game, setting a new career high. But yeah, I've loved everything I've seen from Emma so far.
Yes.
She's been the high scorer in a handful of games. I met a Dutch journalist the other day when I was covering, and I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. But he just followed me on Instagram. But that's where I told him to find me, and he found me. But he was very excited to interview Emma the next day, and also to once Julie Aleman comes back, he was looking forward to speaking with her as well. But the point I'm going for here is that especially overseas, the game is growing. More people are learning about the Sky. More people are learning about the WNBA, and that was just really great to see. Like international journalists also come in and share a media table with those folks. So. That was really great to see. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on Emma?
I honestly just am curious when you have Emma, Candace, and Kyle walk onto the court, who's going to leave with the MVP award?
I think that is a fair question to ask. Yeah, between the three of them, you got 3 like finals MVPs like on the court. Yeah, that is scary for the opposing team anyway. Yeah, league is on notice indeed.
Yeah, we didn't want to be anybody else, so super glad that that's us coming into the season. We deserve after the roller coaster ride of last season, so. Hopefully we can show everybody and run it back.
Running it back. All right. So, going back to Wednesday's game, that is where the Sky set the franchise record for largest margin of victory against the New York Liberty. It was these numbers are not correct. I think I wrote 83 to 501. No, that's not what happened. It was 83 to 50. I don't know where that one came in. The Sky did not record 501 points during a game. But I don't know, maybe if you give the ball to Dana Evans and you let her shoot enough threes, I think she would get up there.
Yeah, and this entire time, I knew that they'd play LA, and I knew that they just played in Minnesota, and we kept saying 3 games, and I didn't want to ask, but I kept wondering to myself, who was the other team that they played? And I remember because I was like, okay, this is going to be cool. I wish I was there to see how fans react to Steph and, whether it's like a homecoming versus like a revenge game. And then I remember checking the score and I put the phone right back down. And I have no clue what went on in that game because that was just yikes.
Before the game, I did ask James Wade if he had spoken to Steph, and he said that she had her game face on. He said that he was a little intimidated, so he didn't want to interrupt her.
And I remember seeing something. I don't know if it was like a mic'd up video or just something I saw on social media, but I remember in the video they were saying that Coach Olaf was basically telling them like they were doing their scouting and was. I don't know what he told them, or I don't know if they were just like, well, now that you are on an opposing team, we have to switch up everything. But whatever he was telling New York, unfortunately, it did not help them. But you would have thought like, oh, you have a coach and a star player from last year's championship team. So I thought they would have done a little better.
Are you saying that Coach Olaf is a double agent for the Sky? Is that what you were saying?
Definitely not gonna say that because I don't want him to get in trouble with Coach Brondello. But I guess I'm just gonna put that on my calendar. I'm gonna circle that and I'm gonna see what happens the next matchup because I doubt. Like I think New York is gonna remember that, especially Steph. So I'm interested to see how they come back.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure you could call that a revenge game. No. It definitely felt more like a homecoming. So Coach Wade gave her a basketball and a bottle of champagne before the game started, which I thought was interesting. And I did notice that, Steph was also getting all the hugs too on the floor. I noticed that she and Azare were definitely chummy on the floor. But yeah, I was guessing that maybe Steph would be the lead receiver in hugs that entire night.
So did she get a video?
Yeah, she did. Okay. She got a video.
Okay, so apologies in advance to the Chicago Sky. If you're watching this, reading my tweets, please don't be upset with me. I try to leave all agendas at home. I just simply state the facts. And the fact is they did not give Lexi a video on Friday. And so this news about her getting the ball and champagne just made me think of that, because I remember that, I don't know what you want to call it, the ceremony in air quotes, whatever that was before the game, like you saw that, right? Mm-hmm. That everybody came out, even the players who were on the team that day, but who were not a part of the championship team last year, all wearing champion shirts and going to get a ball, commemorating the championship and taking a picture with a trophy, which obviously Lexi also did not take part in. I'm not sure if she got a ball, but she definitely did not get a video.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Huh. Yeah, not exactly sure what the story is there, but do you think that was, just a oversight, or maybe
sources can confirm it was not an oversight. Yeah.
All right. We'll leave it at that.
Yes.
But to think a little bit more about Wednesday's game, so Dana Evans was the high scorer with 15 points. She also set a new career high with 3-pointers made. So the Sky were also 10 for 22 in 3-pointers after they only went 7 for 22 in 3-pointers versus the Sparks. So even though the Sky did improve in their shooting game a little bit, the Liberty shooting game was just pretty awful. So in the first quarter, they were only shooting 17.6%. And in the first half, they were only shooting at 20%. So good on the Sky for actually capitalizing on that. But oh my goodness, they did not really play a very good ball game. And I think one of Coach Brondello's comments afterwards, she just basically was like, they were longer than us, they were stronger than us, and they outplayed us. So my goodness. But I think just my two big takeaways from these past two games is that this team is scary and is about to get significantly scarier.
Yes, I agree. Definitely agree. And I'm looking, and I do remember the Liberty playing that May 7th. I think I saw a little bit of that game. So maybe that's kind of took the win, like Connecticut. I mean, hey, we know Connecticut's a tough team, so maybe we'll just say Connecticut took the win out of them a little bit, and they traveled here, so
we're going to just we don't make excuses for opponents on this podcast.
No. but I mean that type of thing does have to be taken into consideration, right?
Though. Mm-hmm.
So, because I don't want people to get comfortable.
Right.
Like, I mean, Brittany kind of talked about it the last time I was here, about how they lost to Indiana last year, and I just told you that Indiana only got 2 wins. So, I mean, just really in the WNBA, you don't know who's going to be on the court that day, just with all the waivers and signings going on, but you just don't know how that team is going to come in that game, and so you should just not expect a win to be handed to you.
Mm-hmm. However, one way you can expect a win to be handed to you is if you support CHGO and download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But of course, if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, and that unlocks all of our web content and a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker, including this beautiful bright blue shirt that my co-host is wearing. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free t-shirt, all for making a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. And if you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we would be more than happy to help you out. And online sign-up is now available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? And of course, besides for this podcast to finish, once the game starts, don't just bet, live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. All righty. So some things that we do have to look forward to. So they'll fly out to Seattle on Wednesday before hauling back east to play Washington on Sunday. Like we said before, the league is on notice. So the Storm dropped their third game in a row on Saturday. They lost to the Phoenix Mercury. Oof.
I couldn't watch that game because I'm just going to assume it's because I wasn't in Illinois trying to like use the login. But I heard or read nothing but like bad things on Twitter. Like people were like, this game is a mess. That at the end, it was like Seattle was trying to give the game away to, or Phoenix was trying to give the game away to Seattle. And Seattle was like, no, we don't want it. You take it. And it was just bad basketball is what I heard.
Tip-off at Climate Pledge Arena is scheduled to be on Wednesday, May 18th at 9 p.m. And you can view that on Facebook or the Marquee Sports Network. So interesting game ahead. The Sky will most certainly take any wins that the Storm are willing to give them. But anyway, now it is time for my personal favorite segment of the CHGO Sky podcast, and that is Court of Law. Ooh, Subria and her gavel are back for another round of litigation here. All right, so the first case on the docket, we have the WNBA versus the Black WNBA Legends.
Yes.
Right, so Exhibit A says here, Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird, a.k.a. Goat versus Goat.
Yes. So since we were already talking about the Phoenix and Seattle game, and I'm sure there are going to be people who are listening to this or watching it and they're like, why does everything have to be about race? I get the question. But again, I'm just here to state the facts. I don't make it about anything. I just call it how I see it. So, going back to the promotion of that Seattle and Phoenix game, it was a lot of talk about GOAT versus GOAT. I saw that all down my Twitter. It was like even a promotion. The Storm are tweeting Bird versus Taurasi, GOAT versus GOAT. It all goes down tomorrow at noon. Then they have another tweet where family is going to go beyond basketball. And that was ESPN, who's also framing this as kind of like, look at Sue and Diana. I mean, everyone knows they're friends. Love the content that they give us when they're doing like their Instagram lives and all of that stuff. But you have that. You have what? Phoenix selling a Goat and Bird shirt. You just have all of this centered around, and even the graphic. It's just Bird. It's just Diana. You would almost think that there was like that was the rivalry of the WNBA, friendship, battles, championships. That's really cute.
Yeah.
But let's note that they both played at UConn together. So they've always been friends.
They've known each other for a while.
For a while. It's not necessarily coming from a place of rivalry. And you almost wouldn't have even known that the next game, when the Sky went to Minnesota, that was actually a bigger rivalry that has stemmed for years.
And you have that here. Candace Parker and Sylvia Fowles. Yeah.
Going back to Tennessee versus LSU, because Candace was at Tennessee and Sil was at LSU, both part of SEC. So they saw each other during the SEC championship. What people are the battle is unforgettable. That's what a lot of people on Twitter were saying and pointing out. And then they met in the 2008 Final Four, where she ended up winning. And Sylvia was trying to lead LSU there for the first time, but obviously, you don't have Candace Parker on your team. And then, obviously at one point Sil was here, but then she goes to Minnesota, and at the time Candace is in LA. So you have Los Angeles Sparks versus the Minnesota Lynx in 2016 in the WNBA finals. So going from the SEC to the big stage of the WNBA and meeting in the finals, playing some USA basketball together. And both of these legends have stated that it is going to be their last year. And you don't give that the same effort as Bird and Diana. And Diana will not even say that this is her last year. Like, she keeps telling everybody who asks, like, she's going to be here. We thought it was going to be Bird's last year. Last year, it wasn't. She's back. So I don't really appreciate it. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be upset at the league about this, or if I'm supposed to be kind of looking at Chicago and Minnesota, but I just don't appreciate it. And I think we need to talk about it because I think that's super disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I'm not just, pulling this out of thin air either, but, we've seen it before with exhibits. What did I say? B, C, D, and E.
Yeah, you've got Cabby Pondexter, Candace Dupree, and Simone Augustus.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and again, like, Syl was a member of the Sky.
Yeah.
Candace, now a member of the Sky. Candace Dupree, a franchise player of the Sky.
Yeah.
And Cappy Pondexter, who at one point was with the Sky. We saw how Cappy retired. She didn't. She really didn't get the opportunity to do so. We had Candace on the show earlier on the 4th episode, and she wouldn't divulge anything there, but she has yet to be put on anyone's roster, has not signed anything. So if this is her last, or if last year was her last year, we certainly didn't get a chance to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, Money was like the face in Minnesota. And unfortunately, she ended up having to go to LA. But then one day we wake up and find out she's a coach and she's not on the roster anymore. Disrespectful. Who also went to LSU. So I don't know if this is like a Sky and LSU thing. I don't know what happened, but it's just, we see it. I see it. I don't appreciate it. The league, the teams need to do better. I think if I can retire from just my whatever job, I think they should have the same respect. Get the retirement party, the announcement, the farewell tour, because they're promoting, GOAT versus GOAT like it was a boxing match. And I just did not see that same energy for two legends in Sylvia Fowles and Candace Parker. So I'm holding the league and all the teams involved in contempt. And we will have to revisit this at the end of the season to see if anything changes.
Right. Judge Whitaker has ruled you are in contempt.
Yes.
Various parties who have failed to recognize the real GOAT versus GOAT match.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Other than that, any other cases you'd like to discuss for today?
Nope, that's it.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, we'll be back next week with more cases and more hot topics in the WNBA world to discuss. We'll also have a couple of more games to break down in our next episode. And of course, too, I will be coming out with a weekly column, simply just revolving around a certain team and also other observations I've noticed. Maybe I will have Larry drop a couple of comments about his mom. So far, everything's been very positive. Larry, like myself, is a very positive person. So he's always fun to talk to, though. Love talking to Larry. All right. Other than that, that's our show. Please feel free to follow the CHGO podcast. That Twitter handle is CHGO_Sky. You can follow me if you so desire. My Twitter handle is @Scuriosa. That's spelled SCURIIOSA. And Subria, where might folks want to follow you?
Follow me at Subria Whitaker with 1 T on all socials and let me know what you think.
Absolutely. And also, too, is your ticket promotion with Grow the Game still going on?
Yes. All remaining home games, but unfortunately not All-Star, and it's looking like only 200 level seats are left. So I would encourage you to go get those tickets because we do not have access to those tickets. But any of the home games for the Sky, you can visit www.growthegamew.com for discounted single game tickets, or email me at tickets@growthegamew.com for any plans. Like 5-game plans, season tickets, special occasions, anything like that.
Absolutely. And I love this note from one of our viewers. This team is better than last year's team, but we have to wait for the results. And that's definitely true, especially in that Grow the Game graphic. No one better to have that on that graphic than Ka.
Yes.
And so when Ka returns to the lineup, we are going to have such a fantastic, complete team.
Yep.
All right, that's today's show. We'll see you next week. Other than that, have a great rest of your week.